Hello and welcome to the Benchwarmers. I'm your host, Dustin Tanner, and with us today we have a guest. The guest name's Jackson Boutin. And introduce yourself, Jackson.
I'm Jackson Boutin. I am going to be a freshman at Castleton State College. My sports history is I'm a big volleyball player. I played in 2 years in high school where I won 2 state championships and a state MVP. I recently played out in Salt Lake City in a USAB national volleyball tournament. I've coached at Enosburg for 2 years at the varsity level. Last year I did kind of a season with Richford at a club level, and this year I'm going to Castleton to help out at the Castleton varsity level for the girls.
So you've talked about your volleyball experience in Salt Lake, was that?
Yes.
So how'd you go along that? Like, how'd you get there? What was that like? What's the experience?
So I started out with they have the Essex Power League, which is in Essex, Vermont. It's a big league at Essex High School. There's 18 teams, I believe, and it's getting bigger every year. And one of the top teams there noticed me and was like, "Look, you're pretty talented. We can come make you better. Come to our practices." And I went to practice, and an injury happened, and they needed an outside hitter. And they're like, you know, is this something you could financially afford to do and would be willing to go out and do this with us? And I said, you know, sure. And that was in like May. We went out to Salt Lake, and you show up and it's always at like an old Olympic place. And it's built to hold, I think there was 50 courts there.
Now this is indoor volleyball.
This is
right?
indoor sixes, yep. Ranging from like, you know, you have to be over 18. And they had, so like B, double B, A, double A, and open are the 5 main categories for people who are between 18 and like 40 to play. Open being the best, B being the lowest. And then they had like over 65, over 60, over 55 brackets as well for older players to play.
So, did you get to meet any players that may have gone on the Olympics or anything, or is this just...
Most of the open players play professional over in Europe where there's professional volleyball, but a lot of them aren't quite to the Olympic caliber yet, but maybe over the course of the next 5 or 6 years, the open players might stand a chance of making it on the Olympic roster.
So, how did you and your team do over there? Did you guys do anything?
So we went out with 7 players, and that's 6 on the court at a time with a libero who would fill in the back row for the 2 players who would, you know, vice versa. And we had an injury for our opposite hitter who plays on the right side. He's opposite of the setter. And he rolled his ankle during our second match. And so our libero, who's 5'6", had to play front row instead of just playing back row the entire time. And we won 1 match, and I think 3 sets. So we ended up winning like 1 game. We ended up 62nd out of 64 teams.
It's not bad. I
mean, from Vermont team, it was all right.
Were you the only Vermont team, or were there more Vermont teams?
There were 2 Vermont teams.
What did the other 2 do?
My team, we got 64th or 62nd or whatever out of 64 teams, and the other team did a little bit better than us, but they were also 1 level above us. They were playing.
So you didn't play the other team?
We didn't play the other team. We scrimmaged with them during. I was like our practice squad. You know, we practiced against them.
Right. So what did you think of the experience? Would you go try to do it again?
Oh, absolutely. It was so cool. It was an overdose of volleyball. There was, you know, you're watching the open players who are just absolute incredible athletes, getting like, you know, their whole armpits above the net, and they're roofing everybody and doing whatnot, and it was just an incredible experience.
How'd you do, you know, against that athleticism there? Did you
we playing
survive a bit, or did you get totally creamed?
We were playing them in much lower than that. You know, people getting their elbows above the net was pretty impressive. I think I stepped up and played better than I've played before. I don't know if I definitely wasn't the best outside, you know, in the B division, but I think I played okay, and I think as a team we played pretty well. There was just a lot of like, you know, mental errors that were made, and you know, lack of communication skills that brought us down.
So you're really into volleyball in this state. So what is in this state? I'm sure a lot of the viewers or people don't even know that there's organized volleyball in the state. And what got you into volleyball? Like, what said, I want to play volleyball this much?
So when I was going to be a junior in high school, I was kind of getting sick of soccer, and I'd heard volleyball was this really cool sport, and it was co-ed. You know, women are obviously a big influence on a gentleman's life, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to get up at 7 in the morning to go play soccer. I can get up at 3 in the afternoon and go play volleyball, and I get to play a sport. And so I started playing, and it was fun. You know, I wasn't the best on the team, it wasn't even close. And I got to play in a couple leagues. There's a league at the Rackets Edge in South Burlington, and I got to play with the guy who runs the league. And I got better, just picking up from people who played better volleyball than I did. And then as a senior, I came back, played again, and played another league again. And we went to play in this tournament with a couple of people from the team, and something clicked, and I got really good. And then from there, I was like, I want to play as much volleyball as I physically can. And currently there's Green Mountain Volleyball, and it's, if you want to go to the webpage, it's www.gmvb.com. And on there's tons of places where you can learn to play. And currently there's a president, Bill Orleans, who's a huge advocate at the high school level, and he's like, the more high school volleyball we can get, the more there will be as we grow up.
And that's a great transition right there, 'cause high school volleyball. For those of you who don't know, both Jackson and I played. You played how many years in high school?
2 in high school.
I played 4, but I've had more of a chance because I'm younger than Jackson. So high school volleyball, what do you feel about that? And what do you feel like the state of Vermont high school?
I think right now we definitely need a lot more teams. I heard Burlington is starting a team this year, which is a huge thing right now, because right now it's a lot of smaller schools, a lot of D3 schools who are putting teams in.
Enosburg, a private school.
Two private schools. Yeah, Vermont Commons and Mid-Vermont Christian. We're both private schools. And a D1 school will kind of draw in that publicity that we need. We're really on like a shoestring budget right now. You know, the state's kind of like, we're not giving you any money. There's not enough teams who want to play volleyball right now. And I think getting a big D1 school in there is going to force some of the other bigger schools, if they want to offer as much as the other big schools, to start a volleyball club, which is an awesome experience for students.
So you in 10 years, what would you like to see?
In 10 years?
Vermont high school volleyball, just a high school.
I would like to see 60 or 70% of the schools to have a volleyball team. I would like to see a VPA sanctioned championship. And I would like to see, you know, it drawing as many numbers as the soccer teams are and the basketball teams are.
Do you think that, because soccer is huge in this, it's not huge, but it's the big fall high school sport. Do you think if there was just more press devoted to saying, hey, let's start some volleyball at these schools, do you think some of the soccer players who really are just doing it because they want to do a sport would just transition? Do you think we'd get a lot of numbers from that?
I think you would get a lot of numbers from students who are like, you know, right now a big thing is, even if you can go win a championship at volleyball, it's not VPA sanctioned. It's just kind of like it is what it is. Oh, you got bragging rights. I think if it became VPA sanctioned, players would be like, well, hey, I can go win this tournament, and I can win a championship and put that on my, you know, my resume for college, and it's something I can actually, like, my school gets something for it, which I think would be really, I think a lot of soccer players, a lot of people are like, soccer's all right, but I'm doing it because it's a sport.
Soccer is kind of like, because if there's one thing that volleyball can compete well against with, it's soccer, because, you know, up at Enosburg, the soccer programs have come to the volleyball program and say, hey, we need some kids, because, you know, that's happened quite a few times recently. So if, you know, 60 to 70% of schools started playing volleyball in high school, how would you like that sorted? Would you like a Division I, Division II, Division III, or would you like the people like Enosburg who started it to be able to be at the top division? What do you think about that?
I think, like, volleyball's always been kind of like this sport where it's fun to go out and play against people who are better than you. Mm-hmm. And I think if you get large numbers of people, you sort it out not by the size of the school, but how the team's doing. You know, all right, first year in, you got to play D3. If you win every single game in D3, all right, next year you should move to D2. And I think you don't do it in such like after 7 or 8 years of winning. No, I think, you know, you do it 1 year while the kids are still in that program, you move them up.
Right.
And if they get beat by a year, you bring them down a level.
Now, how would you originally go to placing that system? Would you like, because you have to start somewhere, you know, you can't just be like, okay, you know, we're going to put you in Division II because we feel, how would you go, you know, placing that system? Who would you put at Division I, Division II, you know what I mean? How would you start that sorting?
I think a lot of the sorting would start at, like, you know, okay, well, Enosburg's team has got 3 championships, and they've got this right now. They're obviously, you know, the most experienced team. Let's put them up at the top right off the bat. Vermont Commons girls team has got, you know, 3, 4 championships. You know, they're on top of their game right now. Let's put them in the top division. All right, and then you got teams who are just coming in. This is their first year in the program. Well, they obviously shouldn't be competing with teams who've been competing for 6 or 7 years. They've got this bloodline. I think new teams start at the bottom, work their way up to the top.
Mm-hmm. So kind of like, not like what about teams at the top who are suffering? Would it kind of be like English Premier or those soccer leagues where it's like the top 3 teams in one league get pushed up on the top, like the bottom 3 teams in one league get pushed down? Or
I think that's a great way of doing it. You know,
do you support that idea of it, or is that just too unstable for
I think keeping things competitive, you know, you want to win.
Right.
So if you win, you get, you know, you get to stay where you are. If you lose, you get to move down.
Right, and I like that idea. One of my things is that I really would hate to see, it'd be a shame to see programs like Enosburg and Linden be regulated to D3 because they have a small school, although those are some of the schools that started, you know, it's kind of like the you know, NHL, how they had the original 6 or something like that, you know. You got to give these teams you know, you have to put them in the most competitive divisions because they've been around longer, and until they prove that they can't, you know, then you can move them down.
Right.
So moving on from that, you've coached a lot from what I know. How much have you coached, and what have you coached?
I've coached a season of 5th and 6th grade basketball this year. I was kind of an assistant coach. Not a huge basketball person. I just kind of like, well, I've watched a little bit of the games, and I know a little bit about the sport from just picking it up from players and things like that. I've coached 2 seasons of 7th and 8th grade baseball, one at Town School in St. Albans and the other at Sheldon Elementary. I've coached 2 seasons at the varsity level for volleyball and a season of club volleyball. So
what is your favorite sport to coach? Is there
definitely volleyball.
Now, is that because it's high school and the kids are more physical, or is it just because it's your favorite one?
Part of it is definitely high schoolers. I mean, they're much more fun to, you know, hang out with. You know, you can pick on them a little bit, and you don't feel bad about it, and
no hurt feelings.
Yeah, they're more athletic. You know, it's awesome to work with athletes, and you get players who aren't athletes, and you really having to, like, you know, some of the stuff you're doing with them is too hard for them to do, and you have to tone it back. And I think volleyball is a really competitive sport. As far as Enosburg goes, it's a very competitive sport. You know.
Yeah, Enosburg. It has. You can see a pipeline forming from. You know, it's from my freshman year because I played 4 years, so I've seen how, like, you know, every year, you know, you get more players and more players say, "I'm going to play volleyball." You know, we're bringing in people, not even the soccer crowd. Some people who play basketball and stuff are like, you know, I do want to play a fall sport, get me in shape for the basketball season. I'll play volleyball, you know. And it's not as physically demanding as soccer is, but it's physically demanding in a different way. Like
you don't have to go out and run a mile to be a good volleyball player.
Right. But you don't have, you know, but in soccer, like, it's more physically demanding, but it's running and kicking a ball. Mm-hmm. In volleyball, it's stop and go, it's vertical leap, you know, things that are more, you know, I don't know what the word is, but, you know, more related, there it is, to basketball in a way, like stopping and jumping and those types of things. So you said you coach middle school baseball. You're a big baseball fan from what I know. Yeah. Would you ever coach high school baseball? Is that something you would try to do? Or
at this moment in my life, like, a varsity baseball team is probably a little out of my comfort zone. I don't know if I'm that knowledgeable on how to, like, practice properly for the varsity level to keep them competitive with the other varsity teams. I would do a freshman team or a JV team. But I kind of like the younger kids. You like coaching younger kids?
I do. When it comes to those types of things?
When it comes to baseball, I really was like, this year the 7th, 8th grade position at Sheldon was available, and I was like, oh, I'll do it. You know, the Little League teams are a lot of, I was really hoping to help out with younger kids, like learning to play the sport of baseball and teach them the basics. And I just think that's a really neat thing that you don't get to do at the varsity level. You don't get to teach kids how to feel the ground ball.
By the time they've gotten to the varsity level, they've known that for, that's the first, they've probably played Little League or they've played in middle school and they know all that. So it's kind of like you're kind of more managing, once you get to the varsity level than it is like Little League. And Little League is huge in America, I love it. But I wish it was a little bigger up here because, what do you think of baseball in Vermont currently,
I think
from the ground up?
It's unfortunately, I've seen a lack of numbers, and it's something that I don't know if we're ever going to get big numbers again in baseball communities. My team this year, I had 10 players. You need 9 on the field, I had 1 sub. And I wasn't even always having that 1 sub every game. Sometimes a kid wouldn't show up or he'd do poorly. And at Sheldon, it's a very small school, like 300 kids, K through 8. And you notice all the real athletes are playing either lacrosse or soccer.
Or a higher level
or
something.
A higher level something else. So they're not playing baseball. They're not playing. I think baseball's really dying out in Vermont, and it's unfortunate. There's lots of talent up here, and it's just not happening.
Now, do you have any way you would fix that, or any ideas on how to fix that? Like maybe combine some of the smaller schools to make one, you know what I mean? Like say a Fairfield and Sheldon would play together so they have a bigger roster, or how would you try to fix that?
It's hard to put schools together because unless schools come from money, it's hard to transport kids to and from places.
Right, budgetary costs.
This year we had 3 kids from Bakersfield who wanted to play. And I needed the numbers, and I was like, yep. I have 10 kids from Sheldon. I'm not going to try to transfer my kids over to your school. You need to come to my school, and you can play with me. I'd love to have the numbers. And 3 kids, if you're coming from another school, you're obviously dedicated. You want to play the sport of baseball. And you're probably pretty knowledgeable on how to play. And obviously, you'd make my team better.
Right.
You can't, if you want to play baseball, you probably know how to play baseball.
Right.
That's
if you're going from Bakersfield to Sheldon to play baseball, you're not going to sit on the bench.
Right.
You're a kid who has been playing for a while and who wants to play.
Wants to continue playing, right. And they made it to maybe 3 practices, and after that the parents are like, I can't keep taking them to and from practices.
Right.
It's just inconvenient for me. So combining small schools is really tough. I think the only way you're really going to get numbers back is just to re-spark the sport. I think something that needs to happen at the major league level. Something where, a young athlete comes in and just, re-sparks the sport. Like
Bryce Harper, Mike Trout. And on that note, let's start talking about the Major League Baseball.
Okay.
How much do you catch normally? Do you?
I would like to watch a game every day. We recently got rid of cable, so I just do a lot of I'll just look up in the newspaper how the games went last night and how things like this happen. I watch a lot of single-A baseball. We have the Lake Monsters in Burlington.
Yeah. We both went to Hot Dog Heaven late last night, which was, well, when this episode's there, it won't be last night, but it'll be a few weeks ago. It was packed. They had
3,000 fans, I think.
3,641, I think that was the number. Something like that. A big amount, 7,000 hot dogs, so that's 3 per fan or 2 per fan, something like that. But I like how single-A baseball, even without the promotions, when you go and it's not a big promotion, they still put at least, 1,500 in there on a good night.
1,500 fans, and I just love the game of baseball. And you go and watch the game. There's nothing more exciting than a good game of baseball.
Right. How many Lake Monster Expo games have you been to, Vermont single-A games?
In my lifetime?
In your lifetime?
Oh, probably 100.
Yeah, that's quite a bit
from the time I was probably 4 and now I'm 20. 16 seasons of going and watching baseball games.
Ever get any famous people autographs? Did you ever go get autographs? Or?
I've tried to get autographs. I've got a couple baseball bats. It's pretty a small league. I mean, it's low, and you're not really sure if these guys are going to make it to professionals. I'd have to go back through and see
who this guy. You'd have to go through the yearbooks and see if they ever had a major league at bat. And
I mean, my dad tells a story of watching Ken Griffey Jr. play there back when they were the Reds.
That's cool. That's they've had some players like Jason Bay. He's gone. I think Magula, was it Ordonez or it was It wasn't Cabrera.
Orlando Cabrera did play there, I believe.
Orlando Cabrera. That's who played there. Yeah, it was him. Jordan Zimmerman, who was lighting it up, and we'll get into pitchers later. But Jordan Zimmerman's lighting it up. He played for the Lake Monsters when they were Nationals affiliates. So they've had some good players go in and out through there, and it's really good. I like seeing it, but one of the things that annoys me is that it's a development league. So they don't play players like, we saw a guy got removed from this in the second inning, and a situation that, was it the second inning last
year? Second inning, yeah.
The second inning, which in a situation that a major league pitcher, a AAA pitcher, would probably have been given more of a leash to go.
Yeah, 2 outs.
Guy on first. Only gave up 6 hits.
6 hits, 3 earned runs.
1 error that was really costly. That you know how errors are, and fielding kills at that level. You see so many errors every night. But so you like single A baseball? Would you rather go to a pro game or a single A game?
It depends. I went and saw a Sox game a couple weeks ago, and that was really fun. The crowd is different crowds. You see at like professional games, the fans are really intense. And at single A games, it's more of a family-oriented event. They have little things that come out in between each.
They don't have that event. Champ doesn't dance on the.
Champ doesn't dance.
Oh, I thought that was standard for every major league and every. Oh, I didn't know.
So it's different. A different feel of the game. It's definitely better baseball. Professional baseball is. But it's more fun to go to like a single A game or something Cape Cod League game or something like that, where you're gonna see potential MLBers, but without the MLB price and without the intense fans breathing down your neck the entire game.
So MLBers, who do you think are the best? Name your top 10 best players in the league right now. Not pitchers, just position players. Who do you got there? Coming out.
That's a tough one.
We didn't talk about
here.
this one in the pre-show meeting at all. So.
Well, from being a Yankees fan, I have to go Jeter.
Ooh, Jeter is not in the top 10.
Jeter is.
He's not. No.
Always going to be in top 10 for my book.
No, we're talking right now.
Right now.
You have to draft 10 position players. Okay, we'll make it like this. You have to draft 25 people, 12 pitchers, 12 hitters, or and 1 extra guy. Who do you draft? What is your team?
All right. Let's see. I'm picking Jeter at shortstop. I know you're gonna be like, no way, no Jeter.
Shortstop,
Jeter
really?
Shortstop. Okay. I'm picking Evan Longoria at third.
You like Longo?
I do like Longoria. I think he is a huge help to any lineup. I'm picking.
What about David Wright? You don't like David Wright as much as Longo?
I do like David Wright, but I like Longoria better.
Why do you like Longoria better?
Something about his character. I don't know what it is. It's just good vibes when I see him.
So you got shortstop Jeter, third base Longo, second base, first base. Let's do the infield.
All right, I got Cano at second.
Cano, I like Robbie Cano. I'm
Robinson
a
Cano at second all day. First base, I think I'm gonna go Prince Fielder.
You gonna go Prince Fielder?
I think his bat adding to that lineup would just.
What about catcher? Who do you got for catcher?
Oh, that's a tough one.
It's not tough for me. I got Joe Mauer. He doesn't hit for power.
I like Mauer.
You know what? I'll take a 320 average, 10, 15 home runs, and 80 RBIs from a catcher.
Any day.
Any day.
That's
any catcher that can hit over 285, 290, even 270, is in this league with pitchers' dominance. I'll take Joe Mauer. My thing is, I got Mauer at catcher. Third base, I got Wright. Shortstop. I don't know. I didn't do my research on shortstop. We'll get back to that one. Second baseman, I'll take Cano. I love Robbie Cano.
That was amazing.
First base, Joey Votto. I'll take Joey Votto.
Okay.
So we're doing AL and NL here, and I like Jose Reyes as shortstop because I've seen Jose Reyes. I watched a ton of his games, and there's no one at shortstop that really jumps off the paper at you. And it's like, oh man, I gotta have this guy. So that's my infield. Now, what's the rest of your infield? You got your infield done,
I got my infield done, yeah.
Outfield. What's your outfield?
Outfield. Ooh. All right. Let's see here.
You know who we totally forgot? Buster Posey.
Buster
That's
Posey.
another cat. I would take Buster Posey. Yeah, I'm changing it. I'd take Buster Posey over Joe Mauer because Buster Posey's got more power. Have you seen him recently? He's hitting that ball like a boss. So for my outfield, I'll go first.
Okay.
I like Ryan Braun. Yes, he beat the system. Yes, he tested positive. Make sure that video doesn't play. Yes, he tested positive, beat the system, but I don't think he. I don't know what to think of Braun because he's did it 2 years. You know, he's done it consistently. So either keeps beating the system or he is actually this good. I think he is actually this good. Andrew McCutcheon.
Mm-hmm.
I love that guy. He's just amazing. And Carlos Gonzalez, Colorado. Not a big name, but because the Rockies are terrible.
Rockies are terrible.
And I know I am Carl Crawford. He's done. Curtis Granderson. I just don't like the Yankees. Granderson's a good player.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Hamilton. He's just too inconsistent for me. And other people like Carlos Beltran. Jason Krupp, those people are just, somewhat. Josh Willingham is underrated, though. He's got 91 RBIs from Minnesota. And he's another one of those good players that's just trapped on a terrible team, that you don't hear about because they're trapped on just an absolutely terrible team.
Right.
And Mike Trout, he's one of the best players in the game, but I want to see him. It's like he hasn't had he hasn't had 1,000 at bat. He hasn't had that many at bats yet. So he's great. But what happens if he hits 200 next year? He just hasn't been around long enough for me to say he's the best outfielder. He might win MVP this year.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't been around yet. And you have people like Jose Bautista, who is just all power, no average.
Right.
Who do you got for your outfield?
Picking outfielders is tough because who's to say? How can you compare a center fielder and a left fielder?
Right.
Right. But I'm going to pick Josh Hamilton.
Why do you like Hamilton so much?
He's a great hitter. And four-time All-Star. Maybe 5 this year. Or did he make it this year? I can't remember.
He made it. I think he made it this year.
Yeah. He averages 100 RBIs a game, season, and just bats well. 348 average. I like Carlos Beltran.
You like Carlos Beltran?
I do. He's a little old, but I think bringing a little experience into the clubhouse will be good for your team. And
Ryan Braun has some more experience,
Ryan Braun, another good player, great player. I think my last one is gonna be.
Oh, we forgot Matt Kemp. Do you like Matt Kemp?
I do like Matt Kemp.
I like Matt Kemp.
I've watched him play, not in person, but Sports Center. Lots of highlights. Good player. And I think last outfielder is gonna be Jose Bautista.
Why do you like Bautista? He's all power, no average.
Another good bat in the lineup.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much power they have. Your 3 bats go 0 for 15. You're not getting home runs or anything there. McCutcheon he's got great average. He's batting 352. He's not in the top 5 in home runs, but he's on base, 3.5 times out of 10, which is really good for a baseball team.
This is true.
Another player I'm thinking, there's some young ones like Giancarlo Stanton of the Marlins. Mm-hmm. He's broken a couple scoreboards, and he's hit the ball like 490. That's right, 490 feet. ESPN had a stat showing it the other day. He's just, that guy's just, I would just love him to play on my BO League softball.
Yeah.
You just win. Just with him up. Just
put him up every time.
Just put him up every time and you win. So, that's your outfield. Who do you got for a DH, or do you not use a DH?
With that lineup, I don't think you really need a DH. I mean, if you're picking your power lineup, you don't really need a DH.
No, you don't. I don't pick a power lineup. What do you think of Big Papi? Do you think he's a good DH?
I think he's a great DH. I think if he doesn't have to go out and run every day, I think he's doing a much better job than playing first base.
What do you feel about the DH? Do you like the DH or do you like the pitcher?
I think it does change the dynamic of the sport a little bit. And I think the DH has its pros and its cons, just like anything else when you're discussing things like this. I think it's great I think fans are really into watching home runs. And they're not into watching single after single after single.
And a double switch.
They're not into that. They like watching these big hitters go up and hit home runs, and I think it's great for the fans. I think publicity-wise, I've got a guy who's going to come up and every third at-bat's going to hit a home run, or every fifth at-bat's going to hit a home run.
That's good right there.
I think that's going to sell tickets.
That sells tickets, that moves merch, and that gets on, that gets your team, that gets you on SportsCenter.
That gets you on SportsCenter, exactly. And, the NL teams – who are going out every day without a DH, and the pitchers are hitting.
But hey, if a pitcher hits a home run, that gets on sports.
And pitcher hits a home run, it's amazing.
If you get,
it doesn't happen very often, but when it does,
it's
great.
happens once a month, once every 2 months. It happens 2 times. It happens like 5 times a year.
Yeah.
You know, it happens enough, so it's a big thing, but it's not like, oh, a pitcher hit a home run first time all year.
Yeah.
Thing, but it happens enough. So now we got our rosters. Now, pitchers. Now, do you want to do just straight-in pitchers, or do you want to include relievers? How do you want to do this? Gotta get 12 pitchers because we included the DH, so we got.
That's right.
So 12 pitchers. Who do you got?
12 pitchers. Well, if we're starting with starters, I like David Price.
Now, now are we going from 10 to 1 here, or 1 to 10? You know, who's your top starter? Is Price your top starter?
I think so. I think Price is my top starter.
So you mean you'll take Price over Justin Verlander, King Felix, Johnny Cueto?
We have a 2.39 ERA right now.
Dude, that's just
16
1 year.
wins.
That's 1 year.
1 year, right? We're looking at one season right now.
Looking at one season?
Right now.
What about one game?
One game.
Game 7 of the World Series.
If I'm looking right now.
You got to pick one guy. Who do you send to the mound for you?
It's a tough one. I mean, from this year's stats, it's David Price all the way. If I'm looking like my gut feeling, I'm just gonna go and pick a player from what I've seen over past seasons. I'm either throwing Sabathia or Verlander.
Sabathia plays in Yankee Stadium, also known as the worst place to go if you're a pitcher that's not named Colorado. And he puts up these great numbers year after year, and it's like, I would go with King Felix. I would go with King Felix every time.
Okay.
Because every time he goes out, he's got a perfect game. He does so well, and just cause he might go like 10 and 14, but it's because of the 14 losses, like 10 of them are 2-1s or 1-0 or 3-2s. He plays in Safeco Field, and the Mariners' offense is. You and I could probably make the Mariners' offense. That's how bad the Mariners' offense has been. It's like the worst in the league.
Right.
Name one hitter for the Mariners. Exactly. You can't do it.
Right.
You can't do it. That's how bad it is. They're not leading in anything. Mm-hmm. So, if it's Game 7 in the World Series, I'll take King Felix.
Okay.
So, other pitchers you'd pick on your team. Who else you got? You got David Price. I got King Felix over there on my team.
I like Burnett, an ex-Yankee, now in Pittsburgh.
Jay Burnett.
Yeah. He's
I don't know
got
what
15 wins right now.
Think about him though, because just because you can't pitch in I thought this was going to happen the minute he got traded to Pittsburgh. I'm like, you watch, he's going to turn around, he's going to go 12-8 or 15-8 or 18, because he's a good pitcher.
He's a great pitcher.
Couldn't do the New York setting.
Right, and the New York setting's tough.
It is.
Home run stadium.
He's your number 2. He's your 2 guy.
I think so. I think I'll put him at number 2.
Man, you don't put.
I think I'll put him at number 2. Yep.
So you're telling me you'll take AJ Brunette over Justin Verlander?
Yeah. I like.
What
Burnett.
is wrong with you?
I watched him. As a Yankee, I watched him. I really
Justin
like his pitching
Verlander
style.
won an MVP as a pitcher.
Good. Who's your number 2?
You take him over Felix. You take him over. My number 2. I'm going to go Verlander. I have Felix Verlander. I don't think on one hand, I don't think Verlander should have won the MVP last year. But on the other hand, he had such an amazing season that Cy Young didn't do him justice.
Right.
It's like he needed something more than a Cy Young, but MVP. But it depends, because there was who could even name from the AL for MVP last year? Really, that isn't a Yankee.
Yeah.
Or a Ranger. So I take Verlander. So that's my 2. Who's your 3?
I'm taking Verlander for 3.
You're taking Verlander for 3.
It's a no-brainer there.
Really?
All-star pitcher, and last year's AL MVP, Cy Young winner.
Okay.
Great all-around player.
My 3rd, and this is going to come out of nowhere, Madison Bumgarner, San Francisco.
Okay.
He is young. I don't even know how old he is, but he's how old is he? He's 20. It doesn't say. He was born in 1989. So what is it?
23 or 24.
He's 23. He's old. He got into the World Series as a member of the Giants. Mm-hmm. He's a consistent top 15 statistical, top 25 statistical guy. So it's I take him as my number 3.
Okay.
Because he's young, not because he's not. I don't think Is he going to be the third guy I put in my rotation this year? No, but like look at his future, man. Like he's like
young. He's got a whole future ahead.
He's below 24. He's already gone to a World Series. He's in a pitcher's ballpark. That's one thing I keep. He's got to have success somehow. So that's my number 3. Who you got 4?
4, CC Sabathia.
Yeah, CC's good.
I just love watching him pitch. I can't say enough good things about CC Sabathia.
There's nothing much. My 4, Johnny Cueto.
Okay.
I love Cueto.
Cueto's a great pitcher.
He's a great pitcher. He's underrated. But the Reds are going to get somewhere this year, and when the Reds get somewhere, Cueto all the way. He's gonna come out of his darty course. So that's my number 4. I like him. Who you got 5?
Toss up between Cueto and Strasburg. As much as Strasburg's going to fight off injuries, you can't.
Strasburg's mechanics are terrible.
But you can't deny the fact that he's an amazing pitcher. Watch him go out and throw, 80 pitches at 100 miles an hour. I mean, that's just incredible. And his explosiveness, if he fight off injury, he's an awesome.
If he doesn't have his arm explode on the mound, he will be an ace for years to come, possible Hall of Famer, but it's going to be the matter of keeping
him healthy. If he stays healthy, he's going to do great things.
While we're on Strasburg health, what do you think of the decision to shut him down at 180, 160?
I think it's a great idea. I mean,
even though the Nats are going to make their playoffs for the first time ever as the Nats, and for the first time since 2000-something as the Expos, or you still think it's a good decision for them to shut down the
I think keep him healthy.
Do you think that they should, so you go for the straight shutdown, or would you like the, 6-man rotation, rest him a little, make it so he can throw like 20 innings in the postseason?
I think something like that. Keep him.
I would keep
add
him,
another man in the rotation, give him an extra day's rest.
Because the thing is that it makes no sense. It's just horrible from, and I feel bad for Ryan Zimmerman.
Yeah.
He's been there from the beginning from the Nats. And he's suffered through those terrible years, and he signed a contract extension, and if he would have gone on the market, he's a top 5 third baseman.
Yeah.
And he would have gotten top 5 third baseman money. And yet he still chose to stay in Washington because he believed, and now he's going to get slapped in the face when I just don't want to see them getting lit up and then Strasburg on the sideline. But then again, they're not going to get lit up because they have Gio Gonzalez.
They have a great team.
That pitching staff is deep, So maybe this is the best year that if they want to give Strasburg some rest, to shut him down because, you got Gio Gonzalez, you got Jordan Zimmerman, who is 4th in ERA, this year. Maybe this is the year. So where were we? Were we at 5? So now we go to 6. Who do you got 6?
Oof.
My 5, by the way, I don't think I gave my 5. Clayton Kershaw.
Okay.
You can't forget about Kershaw. So 6. Who do you got 6?
6. Oh, I think I'm going to take Zimmerman, Jordan Zimmerman.
You're going to take Jordan Zimmerman?
He's 4th in ERA right now. He's just doing great right now. I mean, his wins aren't really showing it, but I like his ERA. He's got a low ERA. I think he's going to do. He's a great pitcher.
Based on balls, it's only 29.
Yeah.
That's 116. His WHIP is 112, which is top 15, top 20 WHIP, which is good.
Yeah.
I think he's not an ace.
Not an ace.
But he's a great solid 2 guy.
Yeah.
He's a great solid 2 guy. My 6 will be Matt Cain.
Okay.
He's got a perfect game. His win totals don't really always show it because he's 12-5 this year, which is okay. But he's had those years where he's been like 10 and like 12, or those bad years.
Yeah.
But Matt Cain is my 6.
Okay.
So moving on to 7. Who you got 7?
7. Ooh. I like Felix Hernandez.
You like him 7 all the way down to 7?
Just looking at numbers, this year's numbers, we can't base him on last year's. You have no idea what a pitcher's going to do.
That's the one thing I like.
You can't say, this pitcher last year had 12 wins. This year he's going to put up on 12 wins. You can't say that.
You can't.
He could have a 20-win game season, or he could have 2 wins. You never know. All just depends on a season.
Right. So that's your 7, right? We're on 7, right? So, my 7, Gio Gonzalez. I may have only given my 7 twice, but Gio Gonzalez is. Look at his record. He's 16-6, a 3.23 ERA. But that's from coming away from like, wasn't he in Oakland just last year? It's like, yeah, because they had it on the video.
Yeah.
So it's hard to make that transition from Oakland to any other ballpark without one dead year in between for most pitchers.
Yeah.
Because Oakland is such a pitcher's place. Anywhere else you go is more of a hitter's park than Oakland.
True.
So the fact that he's got 16 wins the year away from Oakland and ERA under 3.25, I like him as a 7. Moving on to 8. Who do you got?
Cole Hamels from Philly.
He just got some money. He just got bank.
He's made some bank. Unfortunately, it's going to cost me an arm and a leg to keep him on my team. 14-6 this season with a 2.94 ERA.
Fantasy team? Yeah.
No, if I had a fan, if I was paying him to be on my team, it cost me some bank to stay there. But
yeah, he would.
It would. He's worth it.
I don't like Cole Hamels. I just don't like his attitude. My 8, Mr. Dickey. All right, Dickey.
All right.
The knuckleballer. I don't know if you guys actually sit down and watch R.A. Dickey throw a game, but it's like, how does that knuckleball do that? It's like he's throwing a knuckleball at 80 miles per hour first off. So, it's kind of like a changeup. It's not like a changeup in a way, but it's kind of like a changeup in a way.
Right.
And then it's like it's up here and then gets down here, and you see people just swing through. And the thing about knuckleball pitchers is that one bad game, and that knuckleball doesn't fly, and they are roughed up.
Yeah.
But I like R.A. Dickey as an 8. So did you give your 8 already?
I gave him 8, yeah.
Okay. You want to give your 8, or did you want to move
on?
on?
Move on. Let's see.
9. Who you got for 9?
I'm gonna pick Jared Weaver of the Angels.
Jared Weaver's underrated, I think, but because
I saw him pitch in the playoffs, a couple years ago. He continues to put up good numbers. I think he's gonna be a great addition to any bullpen, any lineup you have.
My number, we're on 8 now, right?
9.
No, we're 9. We're 9. Sorry, I keep you confused. David Price.
David Price.
Always good. In Tampa Bay. Underrated because the market is so small. He's my 9. 10. Who you got 10?
I'm gonna pick Matt Cain for 10.
Matt Cain.
Yep. He's pitching good this year. Perfect game. I think good number 10. Good solid.
My 10 is going to be Strasburg. I didn't mention him yet. I like Strasburg. He is, if he keeps that arm in shape, he's going to,
He's going to be great.
So 2 more pitchers here to complete your roster here. So who are your last 2 pitchers?
I'm not sure how to pronounce his name. Hiroki
Kuroda. Hiroki
yes.
Kuroda.
I like him.
Yankees homer right here. Yankees homer.
I'm a Yankees fan.
Yankees homer.
Yep. I like him.
Freaking Derek Jeter. Hiroki Kuroda.
Yep.
CC Sabathia.
I mean, you can't.
Homer.
Can't deny those. And I like Jake Peavy too.
Jake Peavy.
I like watching him pitch. And 150 strikeouts. 37 walks. I think good all-around baseball player. Good around.
I like Chris Sale.
Okay.
He is young.
He is young.
Like, I'm trying to wait for his player profile. He is like born in what is it? 1989. So he's just as young as Bumgarner.
Yeah.
And he is throwing lights out. 14-4, 2.72 ERA. 145 innings pitched. 44 runs. He's got 137 strikeouts, a 1.06 WHIP, and WHIP is a big statistic. It's like WHIP is a statistic. If you look at ERA and WHIP, if a guy's WHIP can be high with his ERA being low, and it's just the opposite. You could have a high ERA. Well, it's not really the opposite, but he could now run home. WHIP is it's the go-to stat.
Yeah.
It's ERA is kind of a crapshoot, but if a guy has like a 4 WHIP, that's 4 walks, okay, and yet he can still manage to get an ERA that's like 3. He's not gonna do that for much longer.
Right.
So I like WHIP, and that's my last pitcher, Tim Lincecum. He's gotten better since the All-Star break. He's gotten so much better since the All-Star break. He's like, he had a inning a runless streak going there that was really good, and I just like Tim Lincecum, World Series experience. I'd take him.
And I think he's going to go out and give you 9 innings easy without, every time he's on the mound. He's just that kind of pitcher.
So, 2 questions. We don't have that much time left, but who do you think is going to make the playoffs, and do you like the new wild card format? Wild card
right.
first.
Wild card. I do like the new wild card. I think it gives, once again, one game. You got one. Adding one game is going to make us hundreds of millions of dollars. One game. I mean,
One game.
That's a no-brainer.
And it's going to help a market like Oakland, or Detroit. It's going to help the team that can't, like the O's. There's going to be teams that they need to
teams, and I think like there's a lot of divisions out there right now that are like pretty close. I mean, you got the AL West.
The AL West is a
great
that's not
division.
really close.
Well, it's not really close.
The Rangers got a 6-game lead over the Athletics, and the Angels are just falling. They're 3-7 in their last 10. That is. Well, look out for Seattle. They're 8-2 their last 10. I got Seattle coming. No, I don't have Seattle coming back. But
no way.
No, Seattle. Well, actually, there's only a few. The Angels are 62-60, and the Mariners are 59-64. So they might overtake the Angels. But see, even the Seattle Mariners, after having a terrible season, they're only 7.5 back in the wild.
I know.
There's still a month to go. I can sit here and say the Mariners are going to come back just to be, joking. But for all we know,
they could.
The Mariners can come back.
Yeah, there's still a lot of baseball left. I like the Yankees pulling out AL East.
I think the Yankees. I got scared there, but they're going to win the AL.
I think the AL East.
The AL East is Yankees. It's over with. Unless Tampa Bay is making their hard charge, their annual. Hey, we're just going to sit back in third or fourth until the last month.
You never know.
Then we're going to come and take a playoff spot from you. Charge.
But I think with the two wild cards, Yankees are definitely in.
So Yankees winner. Let's go division winners. So Central, you got the White Sox, Detroit, or Kansas City, 12 back. No, it's a 2-horse race at this point with Chicago and Detroit.
I think the White Sox are going to take it.
You like the White Sox?
I think the White Sox are going to pull out.
I looked at the White Sox roster at the beginning of the year, and I'm like, this roster has a bunch of old guys, but if they get it back, this roster is practically loaded.
Yeah.
Like, it's a good team. It's just they had a bad year, and they got rid of Ozzie Guillen, and maybe that was the difference. But because look at what Ozzie Guillen's doing now, the Marlins.
Right.
Showtime just canceled the Marlins because the Marlins were doing so bad. So, and that is the truth about it. So, so you guys, Chicago. Do you have Detroit making the? Well, let's get to Texas. Do you have them winning?
Texas is going to win.
Okay.
I think Texas is going to pull out.
So we got our 3: Texas, Chicago, New York, 2 wild cards.
Yep.
Who do you think's pulling it out?
I think Detroit has definitely got one of them.
You think Detroit's got one?
Detroit's
They're 1.5 back though right now of the wild card hunt. Of Tampa Bay, Baltimore, and Oakland are in front of them. There. You think this?
True. I think they're going to pull out. I think they're going to get it. I think Oakland's going to get the second one.
You think Oakland's going to get the second one?
I do. Yes.
You're taking them over Tampa Bay.
I think so. Yes.
I want to believe in Baltimore, but
I think Baltimore. No.
I want to believe in Baltimore, but I can't believe in Baltimore because they're like the Pirates last year.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing great. It's awesome. It's good. But they're going to crash. But if I get proven wrong, Orioles fans who want to see this, write the hate mail. Send it. I'll gladly read it. I got Tampa Bay because they're just, 8-2 their last 10. 5-game winning streak. Kansas City for the next 2 games.
That's true. It's going to have to pull ahead.
Tampa Bay is going to get there. As for the second spot, I got Oakland because Oakland is built around pitching, and they play in the pitcher's park, and as long as they can keep finding some runs, and they got Steven Drew to be shortstop, so he's a good kind of player. So I'll take the Oakland Athletics, just because I'm a Lake Monsters fan and I'm kind of a homer. So that's our AL.
Okay.
Now our NL. Who do you got in the NL? This will be interesting here.
I got the Nationals.
You got the Nationals. You got them beating out the Braves. They're 6 games ahead of the Braves. So.
Yeah. I got them beating the Braves all day. Let me see here.
Miami's last in that division. I did not see that. I did not know that Miami was last until I just checked that.
I think about who else we got here.
Okay, so you got the Nationals in the East and the Central.
All right, let's see. All right, I'm definitely picking. Ooh, this is a tough one. I'm not sure between. I think Cincinnati's going to pull out in the Central. They're 6.5 ahead of Pittsburgh. I think that's going to be good enough for the West. Is the tough one.
You take this.
Okay. San Francisco, and we got.
So you like San Francisco, even with Melky Cabrera suspended?
I'm not sure about San Francisco.
See, what I like about San Francisco is that they went out and got Hunter Pence. who, if Hunter Pence can just start hitting the ball, that should make him better. But Los Angeles is right there, and
they're knocking on the door.
They're knocking on the door. They have Haley Ramirez. They went and spent the bank at the trade deadline. They got everyone who was available except for like 2 people, and the Tigers got them. So Washington, did you say Cincinnati for your Central?
I did say Cincinnati. They're 6.5 ahead. I think that's gonna be enough to keep them ahead.
And San Francisco, that's who you got.
It all depends. I think whoever wins tonight's game.
Tonight's game. Okay, yes. So the game of 8/21. This will be a few weeks, but
it's gonna be. I think the winner of this game is gonna push ahead and finish up.
So San Francisco or Los Angeles.
Yep.
So do you think the other team gets a wild card?
Yes, the other team definitely gets the wild card.
So who do you got for your other wild card? Atlanta or Pittsburgh? Or do you think St. Louis comes back? St. Louis is only a game and a half out.
I think Atlanta's got it. They got 5 games on both Pittsburgh and St. Louis. Or they got 3 games on Pittsburgh, sorry, and 5 games on St. Louis. I think that's enough to keep them ahead for the second wild card.
I'm going to take Pittsburgh.
Taking Pittsburgh.
Taking Pittsburgh because I want to believe in Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh. So these are the final predictions for our playoffs. I have the Yankees, the Rays, the White Sox, the Oakland Athletics, and the Texas Rangers. Those are my 5. And what are your 5? Yeah.
Yankees, White Sox, Texas, Detroit, and Oakland.
Okay. And my 5 for the National League are the Nationals, the Cincinnati Reds, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Dodgers and the Giants. And who are your 5?
I've got Washington, Atlanta, Cincinnati, San Francisco, and the Dodgers.
Okay, so I think we've covered everything that we can do with baseball. So this has been great talking to you, Jackson. And I wish you good luck. I wish Vermont Volleyball. We'll give information at the end of the show, links and everything to go check it out. And thank you for coming on the show. I'm Dustin Tanner, and this has been The Benchwarmers. Have a nice day.